Okay, so today is the day. My house is a disaster because we're in the middle of packing. I've had a toddler destroying the house while I did Thanksgiving turkey yesterday. Got turkey ready for a family dinner, and then we spent the day, a lot of the day over there and out. And when I wasn't working on the turkey, I was packing because we are about to leave, and the trip is going to be like 2 weeks or more. Stop, please don't do that. So I haven't, because it's not really, my thing, and it's a very sensitive subject. It's been something that I've not really talked about, which is very against my personality. I mean, obviously it was my integrity to not talk about it, but it's just my personality to openly process things and to be kind of transparent about what's going on in my life. And so it's been weird to have something so massive that I'm just not saying out loud or writing about, because that is how I process things. And I don't know, it doesn't flow or help if I'm trying to write something that I would never tell anyone. It has to be a feeling of people on the other end receiving it, I guess. Very extroverted person in that way. So we're going to the Cancer Center in Houston. Okay. We're going to the Cancer Center in Houston for my dad because he has a tumor in his spine. So the story is, can you let go, please? Thank you. That hurts. Here, maybe here. So the story goes that 15 years ago, maybe 16 years ago now, he had neck pain, and he went to a chiropractor a few times, and it just made it worse. And so he decided to see a doctor. So he went in and they did some scans and found that he had a tumor. I believe it's inside of the spinal sac. I could be backwards. But I think it might be that they saw it, they knew those tumors are usually inside of the spinal sac, but it's right, in his neck at the base of his spine. And so, big fucking deal. As obviously, was causing problems and needed to be, examined and figured out and stuff. Because, he has, cysts and stuff that grow in different areas. And he's just a growing kind of person. And obviously, it's a sensitive area for something to just be jammed in there. So, they, my mom really fought and figured out the best person. I mean, she essentially went to surgeons who, they were appropriate for this, and she was like, okay, so if this was your mother or your wife or something, who would you want to do the surgery? And they essentially it was the guy who was teaching this procedure. And so she found that guy and got my dad in with that guy. And so he did the surgery. We all went to, I don't remember, Chicago or something. So that was 16 years ago. And that surgery was really, really brutal because they put him under, and it took 12 hours. They got in there and found that I think they thought it was going to be outside. It's always outside of the spinal sac, but this time it was inside, or vice versa. Either it was whichever one they thought that it would be inside and it was actually outside, but they could not get to it the way that they went. And I can't remember if they went to the front or the back first, but regardless, 12 hours in surgery is brutal. He had bed sores, and he was swollen like the Pillsbury Doughboy. It was really friggin' awful to watch, and I can't imagine having to experience it, but they couldn't get to it. And so they needed to give him, they gave him a day to recover from that surgery, and they put him back under for another 12 hours. By the end of it, not only had they had to remove his spine and replace it with what we call the erector set, because on an x-ray it looks like he's just got someone like a kid designed a skeleton for him out of metal. But when they went in through the front, they had to stop kicking my arm. They had to move his trachea, esophagus to the side. And so he had to, like, all of those muscles, everything, he had to relearn how to talk and how to swallow. And it was a very, like, excruciating process for him. And so after, like, another 12 hours under, it was really, really brutal, really brutal. And we were told at that time that he had a 5% chance of surviving and living a normal life afterwards. So it was way more likely that he died. And it was way more likely that if he did survive, they're up there in his spinal sac, like where his brain attaches to the rest of his body. So it was way more likely that, like, his life would never be the same. But he healed, and he went on to live a completely normal life, except for, like, limited mobility in his neck. Like, you could barely fucking notice. If you really knew what you were looking for, you can tell that, like, he moves his body instead of, like, really moving his neck. He doesn't have, like, this kind of mobility. He can't move his head around, right? That's it. So every, like, 3 months, 6 months, year, when the tumor was never, like, coming back, he did radiation back then. When it wasn't ever, like, coming back, they were doing, like, every 3 years or something. So now, of course, obviously, the way this story goes is that the tumor is back. So one of those scans showed that it's there again. So he's just living a completely normal life 16 years later. And hey, the tumor is back now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere. And they did a biopsy just to see what was going on, make sure it's still the same thing. And it's not. This time it is cancerous. It's one of the cancers, I don't remember which one, but it's one that's not likely to spread. So that's good. But, there's just no way to know. So now what we get to do is go to Houston, to the cancer center, and they're going to do, like, a full body scan. They're going to do a bunch of tests to make sure that, like, he's healthy enough to do this operation. And they're going to look for other cancer, other tumors that they need to worry about, and, like, anywhere in his body. And so that could go one of many ways, right? He could just be like, all clear, and it's just one tumor. That's weird. It could be like, well, it's not likely to spread, but it looked like it has. Or, hey, because it grew in this one place, it's also grown in other places. It could be, like, simple as, like, somewhere silly, or it could be somewhere gravely dangerous, like his spinal sac, right? So there's that stage of what we're going through. That's going to be this weekend. I think that's on Sunday. So we're flying out tomorrow, which is Saturday. And then Sunday, he's going to start doing, like, CT scans or whatever. I'm not good with details, so you're just going to have to forgive me. And then after that, after all the testing and stuff, I think his surgery is going to be on Wednesday. And so they're going to go in there and do it again. And this time he can't do radiation because they've already been through radiation with his tumor. But they're going to stop. So they're going to do, like, the same / another gigantic risky surgery. And it's going to be a long, long day to hear how it went. And then it's going to be a long, long recovery, assuming that it goes as planned really well. And then there are all these, like, scarier details, right? Like, things that make it, like, too real. They just scheduled him for a new appointment that they hadn't mentioned to us, and it's an angiogram, which is for them to check out his arteries, because they may have to sever a major artery while they're in there. And that detail is, like, really getting to me. How fucking intense is that, right? That's, like, a new one for us. A new detail for me to try to process. So that's what's going on. That's where we're going to be. Please stop. For the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I would prefer it was a longer trip than a shorter trip. Like, I would prefer there's just a projected recovery time. Even a longer recovery time would be better, but I really hope that he proves to be the miracle man that he was last time. and that he's one of that 5% that just goes back to work, goes back to doing what he loves, changing people's lives and helping with businesses. And I mean, just everybody loves him, and he makes such an impact on the world out there. And I don't know, I hope he just can do what he did last time and just get back out there. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting trip. So it's, complicated on a daily basis to focus on turkeys and toddler stuff and packing for a trip that is all about these things. Making jokes about how all he has to really pack his underwear because he's going to be in a hospital gown most of the time. And it's intense. So yeah, that's what's going on. Did you drop your necklace? So here. Okay. I will wrap this up and get back to packing, and I hope you guys have a good day. I'll probably see you hopefully maybe tomorrow. Maybe I can do a vlog from inside of the airport where Thane gets to see airplanes for the first time in real life and talk about going in an airplane and flying in the sky. Are we going to go in an airplane and fly in the sky? We are. Yeah. Here. Can you say airplane? Can you say airplane? Tell him. Say airplane. Thank you. Can you say bye-bye? Don't just push the button. Say bye-bye first. You gotta say bye-bye. What? My necklace. Can you say bye-bye? Say bye-bye. Okay. Bye-bye.